Kenya's biggest conversation, The Situation Room. We are glad that you're tuned in. Asante sana for keeping it locked throughout, all the way from 6 a.m. to now. We are live every weekday morning, 6 to 10 a.m. on Spice FM, on KTN, on YouTube, and Facebook, and TikTok, and X. And we have all these conversations every hour. Okay? And also, as we're having all these conversations, we also tell you a couple of things. For example, it's holiday season, and it's time for you to think about what to consume in terms of entertainment. As you're traveling, you have your entertainment with you on the go. And this is called
Showmax. On your mobile phone, on your laptop, on your tablet, whatever it is. You don't have to be confined to where your TV is to watch. Great entertainment, from series to documentaries to movies, anything, think of it, you got it. And great local productions as well. So this festive season, Shika Showmax for as little as 300 shillings. Log on to the website, www.showmax.com, register, pay, and watch.
Yeah, like that, eh? It's just like that. Okay. Register, pay, and watch. Our next conversation is going to be about having digitized services from the government, how to build a robust e-government and a digital society. We're joined by the Honorary Consul of Estonia in Kenya, Kadri Humal Ayal. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good. Such a pleasure to be here with the Three Musketeers.
Okay. The Musketeers acknowledge and we welcome you as well.
Thank you.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
So a couple of things that we'll be telling you. So there's what we talked about, entertainment, and City is going to tell you about juice. It's not just juice. It's Del Monte. I'm sure you've seen Del Monte juice, right?
Yes.
Yes. City.
Yes.
Please tell Kadri about Del Monte.
Well, I would hesitate to refer to Del Monte as juice. I would rather refer to it as a fruit product, a fruit drink. Because that's actually what it is. It's actually made from fruits. The issue of additives, whether it is syrup, whether it is God knows what, which adds God knows vitamin which and what, nada, doesn't exist. It is the fruit packaged for you in juice form. That is what Del Monte offers you. Yes.
It's like having your own orchard and then you just...
Yes.
Come and squeeze your own juice.
Yes.
For yourself.
That is precisely what is on offer.
Yeah.
Yes.
And because they know you don't have the patience, so they've grown the fruit for you and they've left it to mature. To
naturally.
Ripen, and then they pick only the best and then put it in the packet for you.
So as you're consuming it, you are consuming the very best.
You agree?
I agree. I've known Del Monte even before I came to Kenya. So, can't help it. It's all over the world.
Yes. It's a global brand.
Yes.
It's a global brand. Kadri, we're going to talk about the Estonia experience. We've had several conversations and talking about what Estonia has done, how it's become that over 90% or 98% of government services are available, accessible by all citizens digitally. Right.
It is actually more than 98%. Actually, there are literally just two services that you do not consume digitally. Digitally only. Well, they do have the digital component to it, but everything else. And as much as you keep referring to the government providing these services digitally, it is actually across the country. It is not only the government; it's the private sector. Basically, you can live your life in Estonia without leaving your house, or you can live your life anywhere in the world while being able to access and consume services fully from Estonia.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. City. First, welcome her with the day's African proverb.
Yes.
Which African country are we in?
We are in the People's Republic of Mozambique. Not Democratic Republic, not Republic, People's Republic of Mozambique. The grasshopper that was eaten by the hornbill must have been deaf.
The grasshopper that was eaten by the hornbill must have been deaf. Your Excellency, what's your interpretation of this proverb?
So, of course, it's easy to go for the obvious, which is, the grasshopper did not hear the warning of the hornbill arriving. But maybe I would actually look at it and say, was the grasshopper aware that it is deaf? Because if it was aware, it would take particular precautions. So it's more about the awareness of the grasshopper than about its deafness or the dangers that are out there.
If you're a grasshopper, beware. And be aware of your situation
Or if
and
you're
your
a
condition.
if you're a grasshopper, visit your ENT.
Go for regular medical checkups.
Yes.
How old was the grasshopper?
Yes.
Okay, so only two services that you do not have 100% digital experience with. What are those two?
So the two are you cannot get married without appearing in person. And you cannot...
And appearing in person where?
Well, in person, so there are options. You can appear in person in a church. You can appear in person in the equivalent of the Attorney General's office. We have also, special marriage registration halls and things like that. So, you must appear in person together with the person you intend to marry.
Oh, okay.
Not just yourself.
Okay.
Not just show up alone. Okay.
I want to get married. To who?
check the ID. So that one you must appear in person, but of course everything gets recorded digitally about the event. And the second thing you can't do digitally is you can't dispose of your properties. You have to appear in front of Attorney General. Not Attorney General, sorry, a notary public, because they need to be certain that you are of sound mind and nobody's holding a gun to your head as you're digitally, disposing of all your assets.
So sale of assets. An asset here is not necessarily a piece of land. It's anything.
Primarily piece of land.
Okay, because I was wondering, so if I'm selling a car, do I really have to go to a notary public? Just say, I want to sell my car. So
big assets,
big assets.
Property. Yeah.
Okay. And then, of course, that then also means that you cannot purchase property if you don't appear in person?
Well, yes, because you see, you
have to come with the person who's buying.
Yeah.
Okay. So you cannot dispose of or acquire assets without having to appear physically. But then everything else will be digitized.
Yes.
Or the entire process from that point on will be digitized.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So everything, how do you register birth?
So registration of birth.
You have to appear in person.
Yes, you do. But I think the first and primary thing to sort of consider are, the fundamental building blocks of that e-society. And yes, indeed, it starts at birth, which is every Estonian has a unique identifier. And the unique identifier is one and single and identifies the person across all systems. Meaning that in the government, in private sector, in bank, nowhere, in the sense that since you are only one single physical human being, there should be only one single digital identifier of you in the systems, because you are not appearing as different people in different systems. And so with that unique identifier, it is only somebody whose identifier identifies them as a female who can appear in a hospital and give birth, because then there is a unique new identifier as soon as that birth has happened that is then associated with that female. And if there is also a male, in case they are married, then they now have a new unique identifier to whom they need to associate a name. So giving the name, you can have a 1 month period to think about, look at the baby, see what does this baby look like, and then associate a name with the unique identifier that is already under you as the parent in the system.
Kadri, just walk us through this again. Okay. I am an Estonian, for example.
Sure.
I have a unique identifier.
Yes.
At what point do I acquire this unique identifier?
At birth.
At birth. Okay. Yes. Then I have a partner.
Yes.
We have a child.
Yes.
Okay. So once this child is born, they also get a unique identifier.
Yes.
Okay. What is this unique identifier?
So there are different countries that use it differently, but of course, since speaking about the Estonian experience, so in Estonia, the unique identifier consists of particular numbers, and the numbers have meanings. They're not just numbers.
Numerical numbers.
Numerical numbers, yes. And so the first digit signifies either you're a male or a female. So if it's 5, if it's 4, that then indicates you're a male or a female. Okay. It also indicates which century you were born. Mm-hmm. So that last century, 4-5, this century, 6-7. So it has, straight away as you look at somebody's identification number, you know they are a male, they are a female, they are born in which century?
19th century, like city.
We have those numbers available for that, not to worry. Okay.
So first gender, then century.
No. Gender and century captured in a single digit. Because if it's 5, it's female. If it's 6, it's male.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I should say 4 is male, 5 is female, born last century. 6 is male, 7 is female, born this century.
I see.
Then, so that all is captured in a single digit. Mm-hmm. It can do that. And then the next 4 digits are the year you were born, the month you were born, the date you were born. So
year, month, day.
Yeah, so that's the next 4.
Okay.
Sorry, 6. That's the next 6, sorry.
Because they'll be in 2s.
Yeah, 2, 2, 2. Next 6 digits is when you were born. And the last 4, they used to also have one of the digits indicating which town you were born, but they are sort of just pretty much, baby number what were you on that specific day, because you were not uniquely born on that day.
In this particular hospital?
No, across the country.
Okay.
So because the system is live, real time, the moment the doctor goes there to say female born, it straight away generates the number, which is the next number in the sequence.
Okay. So you could very comfortably say that government or government services are very well aware of everybody in the nation at any one point in time. Can you say that?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Because in essence, to some extent, it then starts to replace the need to carry out very expensive censuses. And even though censuses are something that every country must carry out, the large portion of that information in Estonia is gathered already based on the population registry that exists, and so it is maybe only the question of who at this point in time might be living in Kenya, let's say, who might not be physically in Estonia.
And what happens when I die?
Then you as a person has physically died, but your unique identifier needs to remain there for the purposes of inheritance, for the purposes of being able to say, this person, C.T. Muga, with this unique identifier, had these offsprings, holds this property, or is a director of company this. So that remains there. There is no need to kill you digitally when you pass away physically.
So essentially, for those who have passed away, there's also now identifier in the system to indicate that this person is no longer alive.
That's correct.
I see.
So you're not erased?
No.
It's just something that's added there?
Yeah, that this person is no longer physically here,
your new
digitally.
I see. But you'll always be remembered?
Yes.
By the system?
Absolutely.
It'll always remember that it's somebody who lived and this is where they were and this is everybody else who's associated with them. For
That's
example,
right.
that tree then is formed. You're part of that tree.
Absolutely.
That's beautiful. So after you get this unique identifier and you are a baby and you don't have a name, now let's say that the parents have looked at you and they've decided that you look like an orange. So they've given you the name Orange. And how do you add it into this? Does it come in anyway into this unique identifier? Does it give you a name?
Right. So that's now where we come to the next important cornerstone of digital governance. And that is the ability for a citizen or a resident of the country to be able to securely log into the system and take actions in the system. And there are actions that a person by their citizenship or residence in Estonia is able to take. And so to log securely into the system, one must have digital identity card or a mobile ID or a smart ID. These are the three forms of secure identification into the government or public sector systems. And when we say securely, it means that in Estonia there is the trust service provider. Trust service provider is the equivalent of the authority that digitally says, yes, you are the person who you say you are, and digitally says, yes, this is a valid signature that you can issue.
I see.
Okay.
And let me just walk you one step further from there.
Yes.
Or do you want to ask the question now?
No, the three forms of ID. I'd just like you to repeat it.
Sure. So they are not forms of ID. They are tools to log into the system. So they are like, call them like keys. So you sort of like, you have three keys that you can use to open the access to the government system. And so number one is, which Estonia has now already used from 2001 onwards. So we are, good 20 plus years into, which is the equivalent of what Kenya calls the next generation ID card, which is chip enabled. And on the chip are the certificates that you use to identify yourself and issue digital signatures through the trust service provider. So that's key number one. For that, you have to have a computer, a laptop. You need to have a physical infrastructure into which you can place the card for the system to read the card to carry out the actions.
Okay.
The second form of a key is a mobile ID. And so Estonia has been using mobile ID from 2005 onwards. The very same security certificates that in the ID card are embedded on the chip are now embedded on the chip in the SIM. And so also with the SIM, you're able to securely identify yourself and issue digital signatures with the trust service provider.
Is it a specific SIM?
It is, it is specific in the sense that...
And this is not a SIM for the mobile network carrier.
It is. It just, you see, on the SIM for the mobile network carrier, it has memory there.
Yep.
And like in Kenya, let's say with Safaricom, part of that memory is taken up by the M-Pesa applet.
Yes.
There is still memory left there to do more things. And for example, in Estonia, it would then take some of that memory to carry the security certificates for mobile ID.
Okay. And if someone then steals that SIM card, they have my ID.
No, they don't, because it only carries the security certificates. It doesn't carry your ID. And for you to access the security certificates for the purposes of identifying yourself or creating digital signature, you are the one who has those codes.
I have just like if they stole my SIM card, they can't access my M-Pesa.
Yes.
No. I see. Okay. So that's the second one. So at what point do you use this? The mobile one?
If, for example, you're not next to your laptop or tablet or your computer, basically, if you are somewhere where you are mobile, or, for example, if you're a mobile-first country like Kenya, because it doesn't need a smartphone. It can be even a basic Mulikamwizi phone to carry out that transaction.
What services do you access there?
So it is literally everything from, So it would be the equivalent of you logging into the e-citizen platform, but in Kenya you log in with a username and password, which is considered the lowest form of security.
So my ID and password, anyone can know my ID, anyone can then guess my password, which is...
It's a brute force attack against a username and ID. It's it's about 30-minute question. And if that is the basic security that is used countrywide for very critical information, it's a little concerning. So in Estonia, you use the secure identification to log into the government systems. You use the secure identification to log into your bank. That's why in Estonia, the banks are you're able to operate your bank account without limits. In Kenya, my bank puts limits on my account, and the moment I move slightly more than that, they call me and say, excuse me, is everything okay?
Is it you? Yeah.
And so it really limits what one is able to do.
Okay.
Also, when going to the hospital, you need to identify yourself. That is the method of identification when you want to confirm that yes, I'm the one who's receiving medication from the pharmacy, etc.
Third?
Right. So the third is Smart ID. And Smart ID is one that is similar to the mobile ID, except it only works on smart devices. So it is still a secure app that is then issued by, normally in Estonia, it's the banks that issue you with your Smart ID. And then you're able to do digital signatures and identify yourself, same as mobile ID, except it works only on smartphones.
So, are all these being issued by government entities? All these are IDs? Because when I had the first unique identifier assigned to me by the government, and then they added the name government. And now here I am, I'm using this, the chip-enabled mobile ID or the Smart ID to access all other services, not only government, but also financial services and all these others. Are these all reading back into the government system?
So I think this is one of the ways Estonia has made very good use of PPP. I know it's a very yeah.
Okay.
So in Estonia, PPPs have been the key way in which Estonian government has worked with private sector companies to develop, operate, and support a variety of services that the government offers to the public. And so let's go through the three items in sequence. So the ID card, chip-enabled ID card, that is a government issue because it is the government only that can issue you with your ID card. There is nobody else who can do that.
Yeah.
So that one is only issued by Estonian Police and Border Guard. The second, which is the mobile ID, that one, once you have, and by the way, in Estonia, it's mandatory to have your chip-enabled ID card. You can take it out even for your children, as early as, 3, 4, 5 years if they need to travel with it. So it's not something that
It's
you
not in
become...
18.
No, it's not once you become of age, because in Estonia also a child needs to access the school systems, and they need to identify themselves for that.
Okay.
So that one is only issued by the government. Now, once you have that one, you're then able to go to your mobile network operator and say, I'd like to take out my mobile ID. They swap your SIM card. They give you a new SIM card that now has the security certificates on it, and it is registered now with the Police and Border Guard as your next
alternative ID.
For signing. And the Smart ID, you go to your bank, and your bank issues you with your Smart ID.
What?
And then you communicate with any system, because you see, the same way as you would use your ID card to identify yourself, going to the doctor's office, going to the school to register your child there. No matter where you go, you're staying the same identity physically, digitally, and now across all the methods of identifying yourself.
Yeah. Okay. So even for banking services, then you just use that.
Absolutely.
So for example, now, Kadri, for you and your StanChat bank account, you'd just be using your any of these three IDs. For example, your Smart ID or your chip. Your mobile ID to log on to your bank account.
Yeah.
And you know what you'll find there, Ndu? I will just tell her. If she had that in Kenya with Standard Chartered, then she'd be able to get the priority banking.
You get priority banking, and you'd find somebody right there who would be able to give you great points as to how to create wealth, grow it, manage it. And that's the business that Standard Chartered Priority Banking is in today. To say, here you are with an option. You have some, and you want to put it aside for the future, because they're in the business of securing your wealth for today, tomorrow, and forever. So what are the ways in which you can do that? It confuses you sometimes. You're not quite sure what to do. Standard Chartered says, come have a conversation with us. We've been in this business for over 100 years, right? And we've done this around 55 unique markets around the world. So come, we will have a face-to-face chat with you. One of the things that you have to do face-to-face. And we will make sure that you will then be able to take the soul that you have and put it again for the future. It's email wealth.kenya@sc.com and find out how you can get into creating, managing, and growing your wealth.
Yep, at 26 minutes to 10, let's take a break. We're having a conversation with Kadri Humal Ayal. She's the Honorary Consul for Estonia in Kenya. She's been in this position since 2009. We are getting the Estonian case study. As we were marking, the milestones that e-citizen has made in this country just last week, let's look at what Estonia has been doing for many years and see whether we can get there. We'll be back shortly.
Hi, and welcome to Shop.Digga, where we bring you the best deals in fashion, tech, think gadgets and gizmos.
With what is ordinarily called a hybrid TV station.
This is KTN.
Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
So the conversation continues, and our guest this morning is Kadri Humal Ayal, the Honorary Consul for Estonia in Kenya. She is here to give us the case study from Estonia as we look at our government services through e-citizen, just getting the digital society, getting an ID at birth, and you are, given this unique identifier which tells a story from everything. You're male, you were born in this century, you were born on this month, on this year, on this particular date, you were born in this particular part of this country, and you are child number XXX on that particular day, So if you see the it ends with 01, just know where is a kid who was born at the stroke of midnight or the first one to be registered on that particular day. Okay. And then through this, then you get all these other identifiers and security keys that you use for accessing all the services. So there's been a move in Kenya to get this one unique identifier as well. It was initially the Huduma, now it's the Maisha, right? So getting a Maisha number, and the thinking and the push by those in government is, if we actually have this one, then you're able to have everything else linked to it. But it appears that, there are so many other places that now we have to start collapsing very many other systems, collapse what the Registrar of Persons knows, collapse what your NHIF has, collapse what your SHA has, collapse what your all these things have. But if you think about it, all of them use one ID. How you registering into SHA, you're using ID. How you register your NHIF, NSSF is ID. How you even get your PIN, you first of all used an ID to get a PIN. So the ID is used everywhere else. Is it possible then to collapse all these things into one Maisha number?
Well, Estonia did that. So actually, once you have your unique identifier, you no longer need to register for anything else, because the system already knows that, number one, so there is, let's start from birth, okay? So there is this child that has been born. The system already knows that the mother is entitled to government support fund for the child. And the mother doesn't need to apply for it, because the system already knows that child is there. Then automatically it triggers from the system the child support to the parent. When the child is coming to the age that they need to go to kindergarten, the system already starts to suggest kindergartens in the near vicinity. When the child is supposed to go to school, the school registration, unless the parent says, I want to register my child in a school that maybe specializes in French language or specializes in music or something, the nearest school automatically is allocated for the child to attend. And so the challenges of is every child in school doesn't exist, because with that unique identifier of the child, you can see that every child is in a school.
Yeah.
And
you don't have a NEMIS. You don't need to have a go registered NEMIS number. Okay.
And then when the child continues to grow, by the time they are employed, the system straight away knows that this identification number is now employed, and the government already knows that this is the company that has employed, and this is how they get into the income tax bracket. So, because everything is, the cornerstone of it is the unique identifier. And then, because, from it, you're now having the company registration, and every company is registered, and you know that these are the directors associated with this company, because there are the unique identifiers. Every land has its unique identifier. You know who owned the land because there are the unique identifiers associated with that unique identifier of the land. All institutions are registered. They all have unique identifiers. So it's, the ecosystem functions in a way that it cannot be... it cannot be really defrauded, because everything links to each other and they all communicate to one another over interoperability.
I can imagine what this would do for things like budgets, because then you're aware of how many are in a system, for example, education, or you are aware of how many are in the system that are accessing healthcare. So you would know now when I would assume the Ministry of Finance, is putting together a budget, because then they are aware of how many sit in this particular pool and how much you're going to need to address. Do you see there's a direct correlation between this information that has been gathered and then what needs to be done by government on a daily basis, and even for a yearly budget?
Absolutely. And if you think that Estonia is a country of 1.3 million, it has a higher per capita GDP than Kenya. It's able to support itself through taxes, offer free education all the way through to university, offer free healthcare.
What is free?
Free meaning that a child walks into the school carrying only exercise books and pencils.
Okay.
Books are provided, meals are provided, teaching is provided, literally for...
Transport?
Because you are at your nearest school, you actually walk to the school.
Home.
There is, in Estonia, that whole concept that a parent carts their child across town to a distant school is
foreign.
It's entirely foreign, and Estonian schools don't have school buses, because children normally either walk to school, they take a bicycle to school, they take public transport sometimes if it's maybe 1 or 2 stops away. And in capital like Tallinn, all public transport is free to the residents of Tallinn.
Wait. If I live in Tallinn,
yes,
public transport is free.
Yes, and you identify yourself as living in Tallinn by swiping your ID card, because your ID card indicates that you are a resident of Tallinn.
Okay. Tell us about the natural resources that Estonia has. Minerals, oils.
What's the source of your money?
All this money.
To do these
wash.
that you can do public transport for free.
Has Estonia now taken over the role that Switzerland used to play?
Free education.
So Estonia, of course, is, population of 1.3 million. The area is 45,000 square kilometers. We do not have oil or gas or major minerals. We don't, have gold or any of that.
You don't have?
We don't have. We have resourceful human beings.
Okay.
We have
Human capital.
Human capital, but human capital that has been trained all the way from secondary school to be entrepreneurial. In Estonia, you cannot graduate from secondary school without having established a business. It's part of the... now we have CBC in Kenya. There is the economic studies in it. Now, in Estonia, that the fact that it is competency-based means that you actually do those things. You don't just learn them theoretically. And many of the Estonian young people who establish their business while in high school continue to run that business while they're in university. Many of them actually establish very, very successful businesses through that. And when you think of entrepreneurship, it's actually safest to do it when you have the safety net of your parents, your home, your teachers. You're able to fail fast, learn from it, and grow and become entrepreneurial. So Estonia has it's a very entrepreneurial country. It has the highest per capita of unicorns. These are startups that have received investment exceeding $1 billion into the private company, and Estonia has 10 of them.
One of them is Bolt.
One of them is Bolt, correct. Another one is Skype. Another one is Wise.
Skype is Estonia.
Skype, yes, started off in Estonia. There are 3 young guys who started Skype in Estonia and sold it off to Microsoft.
All right. So obviously this is clearly a protected system from what you talk about, and 1.3 million people can access it. So what's the policy towards immigration for other people who want to come and experience this, what would be miracle that is Estonia?
So Estonia, as many of the other European countries, we do have an aging population. And so Estonia actually welcomes university students to come to study in Estonia. We have universities that rank among the top 200 universities in the world. And at the very same time, the annual university fees would be in the range of maybe 3,000 to 6,000 euros, which is something that many parents in Kenya pay.
Annual.
Repeat that, please.
Yeah, it's somewhere between, let's say 3,000 to 5,000 euros per annum for university fees.
Like 700,000 shillings.
Yeah.
At the top.
All right, go on.
And while studying, the students have a right to work. And most of the time, when I have those conversations with parents whose children are about to go to study in Estonia, and they say, okay, so what do we need to prepare ourselves for? I tell them, prepare yourselves for the fact that your children will remain in Estonia to work in Estonia.
Why?
Because there are immediate job opportunities for university graduates. In fact, for many of them, the conversation is, please just finish your bachelor's degree, don't start to work yet, full-time.
Finish first.
Yeah, please finish first. But opportunities to work, specifically in ICT fields, about 7% of Estonian population is engaged in ICT sector. And so we have demand for more ICT skilled people than we have. If you imagine that there is an Estonian company that subcontracts right now ICT work to Kenya, simply because we don't have enough people to do that work in Estonia.
Oh, very nice. So when somebody now lands in Estonia,
yes,
let's not even go into student, just visiting Estonia.
Sure.
Do they get onto this system?
All right. So when you're visiting Estonia, no, you don't need to have an ID card and registration like that. But one of the unique things that Estonia does is Estonia offers something called e-residency. And e-residency is you will get that ID card to operate within Estonia, to operate within the Estonian e-governance ecosystem, to run your company. So if you want to open a European Union-based company, but you love living in Kenya, you don't want to live in a cold Estonia, you can expand your business into Estonia, have an e-residency, set up your business, and then yes, you would have that. And now that you mentioned tourism, actually next year there are quite a few specific trade missions that are going to Estonia to, for example, as Du said, to go and look at what is this beautiful thing we hear, but we'd like to come and touch. So, like in February, there is an ICT sector that is visiting Estonia.
Okay. So the student then who goes there, let's say you've gotten your student visa, you're going to study and live in Estonia. Do you have to get a chip-enabled ID? Do you need, how does the system interact with you? Because you're going to have to access all these services with an ID.
Yeah, the moment you are either resident physically in Estonia or e-resident, in order for you to be able to operate in Estonia, yes, you will get the chip-enabled ID card, based on which you're then able to do your mobile IDs and everything else that you want to do.
I'd like you to talk about the health service in Estonia. How does it work? Is it also free?
Yes.
Health is also free?
Yes.
When you say free, what do you mean?
Meaning that unless you want to jump the queue and pay extra for that, if you just regularly visit the doctors, if you receive medications that are prescribed medication, unless there are any very, very specific things that you need, you don't pay for it because it is fully covered by the taxes that an Estonian pays.
What is the tax regime in Estonia?
Okay, so Estonia, so number one, Estonia ranks number one in the World Tax Competitiveness Index.
Meaning?
Meaning that Estonia, it's not the lowest tax there is, but Estonia makes it very easy to pay tax, to be tax compliant. Once you have done your annual tax returns, if you overpaid your tax along the year, 4 days later you receive back your excess tax to your account.
4 days later.
4 days later.
Eric, not for...
Yes.
No, not 4 decades later.
Not 4 decades later. Tribunal opens door for capital gains tax refund claims. The Tax Appeals Tribunal has opened a floodgate of refund requests after it ruled that the due date for payment of capital gains tax is when a property seller receives full payment. This is a matter that has been going on in Kenya for a while. Now you're saying 4 days in Estonia.
Yes.
Continue on.
And so Estonians, we don't have very low income tax. That it depends on your earning brackets, but it's in the margins of about maybe 30% of the income that you earn.
Okay, are there people who pay more than 30%?
Yes, there are some richer people who pay more than that.
What is the most you can pay? What percentage of your income, or beyond a certain income, and what percentage will that tax represent?
Unfortunately, I don't know that. I'm not in that bracket.
Nice one.
Okay.
Nice one. How does one acquire Estonian citizenship?
So that is one of the most difficult things to acquire in this world.
Really?
Yes, because you need to pass an Estonian language test and an Estonian history test. And Estonian language is ranked among the 6 most difficult languages in the world. So
Spoken or written?
both. It doesn't matter. It's hard, whichever way. And one of the reasons why we have to be as strict as we are is because our next door neighbor is not a friendly neighbor. It is Russia. And we are actively preventing Russia from taking actions against Estonia, including, this is one of the reasons why Estonia does not recognize dual citizenship. And so we are very, very strict on our citizenship.
So if I married an Estonian girl, I cannot become an Estonian citizen?
It's not automatic. You'll get residence, but not citizenship.
But I have to learn the language.
You have to learn the language.
Which is very, very, very difficult.
But if you put your heart to it, I mean, if you're in love with the person,
Of course.
you shall.
You speak the language. Oh my.
Put your heart to it.
Let me ask this question. Which other language is on this planet is closest to the Estonian language?
It's the Finnish language. Actually, Estonian language and Finnish language are related to the extent that, let's say, the Gikuyu language and the Kamba language are. So we understand one another. We have some words that are same, some words that are completely different, but because we are part of the Finno-Ugric language group, and the Finno-Ugric language group started from Ural Mountains, moved through Europe, reached up to Estonia, and some of our brothers crossed over to Finland. Brothers and sisters, I should be
So
clear.
essentially, Finland is an extension of Estonia.
You could say so, yes.
Okay.
Where does Estonia, I mean, just looking at all of this, and obviously there's strength in what Estonia has been able to do digitally, and it puts the nation, whether it's 1.3 million people or 13 million people, puts it on the map, doesn't matter, just because of this action. So where does Estonia then lie geopolitically when we're looking at, global decisions, global connections, global club memberships?
So Estonia is a member of European Union, NATO. Estonian former Prime Minister is right now the head of European Union on its international relations. And Estonia is number one per capita supporter of Ukraine in the war with Russia. And so where Estonia stands is Estonia always stands up to the bullies, including Russia. Estonia always stands up to the wrongs in the world and shares its experience. And so this is where Estonia actively shares its knowledge and experience it has gained in the over 2 decades of running a country in as a digital governance. And we are always there to share what did we do right, where did we make mistakes, and we are not saying everybody has to copy us. We simply say this is how we ride our bicycle. We can advise you how to build your bicycle. It's not always that we all must be riding the very same type of bicycle.
I want to push my bike. I want to push. Kadri, you are an honorary consul, which means that there is no embassy in Nairobi.
So Estonia does not operate embassies in every country. We have about 30 embassies across the world. We have a network of about 200 honorary consuls. So there are countries where we do not have an embassy and where Estonia is unlikely to have an embassy. Kenya is one of those countries where we're hoping to have an embassy soon. You had the Estonian ambassador to Kenya in your studio a few months back. So he's already appointed to Kenya, but there is no embassy, and hence, yes, I am the honorary consul in his absence.
Okay. So people are saying that before you leave, you've got to teach us a bit of Estonian, so we can start learning the language, because we've got designs and ideas.
Eric,
Yeah?
they said university students. I listened very keenly.
No, that's
Because they're an
university students.
aging population, which means they don't want old people.
It's all right. Yes, I do not want old people. How would you say habari? Nakupenda sana. I know you know Swahili. Say that in Estonian.
Okay, we don't say habari.
How do you
So our
Your
greeting
greeting.
is like now I would say tere hommikust.
Tere hommikust.
You've done well. Because you've got a knack for accents.
I've
and
passed the first one.
Yeah, tere hommikust.
I've put my heart in it.
Okay. Ma armastan sind.
Ma armastan sind.
Ma armastan sind.
Ma armastan sind.
Yes.
That is, I love you. That's long.
And then-
Armastan sind.
Yeah, you need to put your heart into it.
Translated directly. What does
What
it
exactly is it
word
saying?
for word?
It is exactly I love you. Ma armastan sind.
So Sint is you.
Armastan
Yeah.
sind.
Yeah.
Sint is you. And the greeting?
Tere hommikust.
So
So
who-
that
who-
is a
who
greeting
is-
of the morning.
Who is Humikost?
Hommik is morning.
Tere hommikust. Ma armastan sind.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes, we're going to Estonia.
It's over. You can speak the language now, right?
First 2 of 10 questions. Thank you very much for joining us today, Kadri. Kadri Humal Ayal is the honorary consul for Estonia in Kenya. She has been here giving us the Estonian case study and how they have built a robust e-government and digital society. Thank you for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation. Have a lovely day. It's 10 a.m. See you tomorrow.
All right. It's the time of see you tomorrow.